Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. The ferocious and furry adventures of Shuichi and Claire continue in another double dose episodes of Gleipnir. I'm going to be reviewing 2 episodes today because I did not get a chance to review last week's episode, and that's kind of a shame because it was a pretty intense episode with Shuichi, Claire, and their brand new group going up against Madoka and his group of insane cronies. When it comes to the violence and destruction, the Gleipnir anime series pulls no punches, and this was another one of those episodes, and we get to see how ruthless Madoka and his group actually are. Episode 10 of Gleipnir does a deep dive into the character of Madoka, a very deranged individual who leads a group of monstrous men, all of which are outcasts to society, and whenever he decides to bring people into his group, they have to go through a rigorous test, which is not so much a test as it is a sacrifice. You see, he's actually kind of impressed by Shuichi and Claire and their group, and he actually wants to bring them into the fold. However, that means that one member of their group is going to have to die. You see, it's scenes like this and the fact that Madoka actually cares about his teammates that makes him a surprisingly complex villain. And they even sort of dive into his backstory a little bit about how he was an outcast and how he never really made any friends or had any companions, and how he literally would look down at the ground all of the time. And I thought that was symbolically great, as that's actually how he found his coin, which allowed him to transform into a giant fucking Sasquatch monster. So Shuichi and his team are going to have to make a really tough choice, and of course this is just not an option for them. There's no way that any of them are going to end up being a sacrificial pawn so that they can work for this brand new asshole. That's when Claire actually comes up with another genius plan. She seems to be really good at either stopping people, killing them, or outright destroying them. She realizes that Isao has the special ability to pretty much create just about any type of plant, and she has him create this massive forest of oleander flowers, which apparently are also incredibly poisonous. Her entire plan here is to draw all of Madoka and his men to this area, light it all up with fire, and then suddenly they will get poisoned by all of the oleander smoke. And guess what? The plan actually does end up working. However, it freaks out all of the members of their team. They realize that while Claire herself doesn't seem to have the abilities of transforming into anything or even becoming a monster in some senses, she truly is the most scary individual amongst all of them. Her ability to just flip a switch and turn instantly violent has definitely been one of the craziest things about her character. It makes her kind of hard to read at times, although really she's just a woman on a mission. A mission to roast some monster ass, and that's exactly what she does. However, there does end up being a major death from their team, and that's the character of Ikuchi, who after seeing everything that's going on decides to desperately run to Madoka and his men, trying to give himself up and to become a part of their team. This, of course, doesn't end up working, as we get to see that thread around his neck suddenly starts to tighten, and he quite literally gets decapitated. I especially loved the point of view shot where you get to see that his head is slowly falling off as it falls onto the ground looking up at Madoka. It was pretty damned horrifying, and it is a shame that character didn't able to get over his fear and his insecurities, especially when it comes to looking at the fact that he's clearly in that love with Yoshioka. The episode ends on a very dark note, with Shuichi, Claire, and the other members of their team managing to escape the clutches of Madoka, even taking out a lot of their key members. Of course, this means things are going to be very dangerous for them, as all of these people saw their real faces. They're going to be able to find them in public, and this is where the real tension begins. The most recent episode, episode 11, sort of deals with a lot of these consequences, with the characters returning to school and their regular lives, and wondering when they're going to be attacked at just about any moment. We even get to learn that some of these people actually do go to Shuichi and Claire's school, such as Chihiro, so yep, the love triangle continues, and it continues to be awkward as hell. For the most part, our main characters are playing it very safe and not being able to make themselves seen too much, and of course not trying to draw too much attention. What I did think was most remarkable was getting to see how all of the characters sort of deal with this situation, with Isao being very devastated over this, Yota telling him that he was basically just doing what he had to do, and then of course you have the girl who works at the gas station who clearly is in love with Sayaka. But there's a couple of scenes in this episode that I think are remarkably interesting. First and foremost, we see Elena actually confronts the coin alien, threatening to actually kill him, choking him, and saying that if she actually killed him, this could potentially end this entire conflict. But then again, if she does kill him, no one could be around to actually potentially stop it or even reverse some of the things that have happened, forcing her to make a retreat. We then get some sort of weird, I'm assuming, backstory on another character that we've never seen before, who is also confronting the alien, presumably for the very first time. The implication in this episode is that this girl is one of Shuichi's previous classmates, along with Elena and a few other mysterious characters that we haven't been formally introduced to quite yet. And it's pretty clear that this is all going to have some connection to him when he was younger, when he went away to that finishing school and met these other students, not to mention his overall relationship with Elena as well. In fact, the episode actually has a really shocking ending where we get to see that there are more of those crazy monster people who are searching for the coins, finding where the ship presumably crashed, and they end up running into one of these characters who is another one of Shuichi's former classmates, who seems to have the crazy ability to summon his dead friend, that girl, who takes the form of this ghostly white figure with a massive sword. I don't know if anybody else is getting JoJo Bizarre Adventure vibes from this, but that was totally a stand ability, and it looked freaky as hell. But wait, there's more. There's another subplot in this episode which I thought was really interesting, and one that I'm going to have to ask a couple of questions about. So, one of the classmates of Shuichi, Abukawa, has suddenly just disappeared. We haven't seen him for a couple of episodes. He hasn't had a tremendous amount of development, but there have been a couple of scenes to insinuate that he's not actually a really nice guy, despite the fact that he seems to put on this, big smile all the time. Apparently, he was actually involved with Madoka's group and actually lost his life in that conflict. We had no idea that it actually happened. We learned a lot about this because Shuichi is actually confronted by that one swordsman, the one who wears, the bandana around his eyes, who's actually working with Madoka and might as well have been his second-in-command, his lieutenant. And at first I thought that maybe this was Abukawa, because they looked very similar, but we never really got to actually see the faces. And he wants to get revenge for him, and Shuichi actually ends up fighting on his own here, which again is showing how far he's actually come in terms of what he's actually able to pull off without Claire, and how far he's willing to go to actually protect his friends. And they have a pretty intense fight, which results in Shuichi actually not only defeating him, but basically just killing him outright with his gun. It was really freaking disturbing, and again showing that Shuichi's now way past the point of sanity. He has gone nuts at this point, and he has transformed so much since the character he was in the first episode of the series. It's disturbing, it's crazy, and it's another great double dose episodes of Gleipnir. So, what's the rundown on both of these episodes of Gleipnir? I really liked both of these for a number of different reasons. Episode 10 was definitely heavy on the action of fighting against Madoka and their group, and Claire coming up with another crazy plan to stop their enemies, which again shows she is willing to go very far to get what she wants. But there's a lot of little moments here that I thought were really clever, like how Madoka is a really strong character, and I have a feeling we're probably not going to see the end of him. The implication is that he is dead, but maybe he could return. I mean, this is a guy who could actually take one of Shuichi's bullets and not even feel the pain. I also thought it was really cool that when he stole his gun, he was going to shoot Chihiro, but suddenly Shuichi transformed back into his normal state, which caused the gun to melt away. That was really clever on his part, even though he did end up sort of giving away his secret to Madoka. But yeah, this episode was basically watching the team reel with the fact that they're going to have to make a very tough decision in order to get out of this, but it's again Claire using her resources and utilizing the people around her to get them out of this sticky situation, even if it did result in the death of one of their team members, and of course the deaths of multiple people, many of which we don't even know or even have any history about, so there's not much there. But they're bad guys, so I guess they kinda deserve it? It's hard to say. It's not exactly black and white when you come to all of this. A lot of these characters are not necessarily evil, but they do bad things. It's an interesting show and continues to be one of the best dynamics about it. Not to mention the second episode where we get the introduction of more of the older classmates of Shuichi, how they're potentially tied to Elena, and how some of them are still alive and even have the powers of the alien coins. There's a lot of crazy stuff to actually dig about that episode, and again, I like how with every single one, Shuichi seems to become almost like a completely different character. I mean, really, try to put him up against the Shuichi from the beginning of the series, he's not the same at all. He's been completely corrupted by all of the things around him, and he continues to have this whole crazy narrative of him not being the real main character. And then we're introduced to one of his old classmates who claims to be the real true character of the series, so I can't wait to see what that means, if it's some sort of figurative thing, if it's a metaphor, I don't know. I'm just excited to see more of him and his abilities, that crazy ghost girl. That's just freaky deaky, man. There's just so many questions here, and I have a feeling we're probably not going to get all of them in this season, but it really makes me hope that we're going to see more of Gleipnir in the future, as, again, I think it's definitely one of the more underrated shows of the season, but it's also, I think, one of the most intriguing. The production value also continues to be pretty freaking good, so that's definitely something to look forward to. I'm going to give both of these episodes a 4 out of 5. I thought it was solid material from the series, a little slow in some parts, but still incredibly engrossing, and it sucks me in with every single episode. I really hope that you guys are checking it out, and if you are, please tell me what you thought about these episodes in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the future of Gleipnir. Do you want more anime, or are you going to jump on the manga version? Did you have any favorite scenes from either of these episodes? Any theories as to what's going on with Shuichi and his former classmates, or even anything else in the rest of the series? Let's discuss it all in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Smash that like button. Make sure that bell notification icon is activated. That way you'll see all my videos as they are released. And again, please check out my Patreon account in the description box below. And make sure to check out my Patreon in the description box as well. If you guys make a donation, I'll review an anime series of your choice. I have a couple of Patreon reviews which are going to be coming up in the next week or so make sure and stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.